live in front of a studio audience. It's the SideQuest live in front of everybody here at PAX East. Hey, Boston, how's it going? This is our panel. We are so happy to have you guys back in front of us. I'm Dolly Demonschool. Joining me over here is Taylor Bliss as I cover my face. Taylor. The person below me is Sam Dixon. Exactly, he's muted. This person right there, Zach Quest. He's on the nice hairstyle that you might all recognize from our panel. Yes, showed up looking.
Listen, I could do that too if I had that much hair left.
Yeah, same here. I put Sam in the top left just because.
It's because he has the most hair out of all of us.
That's true. How y'all doing?
Super good.
Superb.
If we're still live from PAX East, why haven't, much like the lobby upstairs, why haven't they asked us to leave the convention center?
They have repeatedly.
We're not leaving.
It's more of a sit-in at this point.
I love it. It's more of a sit-in, and one might say. You guys, it was a really fun time over at PAX East. I continue to say it, but it definitely was just such a freaking awesome time meeting tons of people there. Lots of our fan that showed up. No, we had a lot of folks come to the panel. Thank you again to Sarah and Matt for joining us today. You can find the panel on sidequesting.com and on our YouTube page, 789, which was just a wonderful panel. We recorded an awesome podcast there. We met a lot of awesome devs, played a lot of awesome games. And that's where we're going to spend the majority of today talking about, finishing up all those games that we watched. However, there were a couple notes, going like this, a couple things that we did want to chat about that was popping off news-wise, and I thought maybe might be worth chatting about a little bit. So I figure we can maybe start there. JJ is not with us. He is
he passed.
He passed.
JJ is not with us.
Yeah,
he passed on to a nap.
Yeah, he passed on the opportunity to be here.
No, he has the PAX Pot. It seems like it. The poor dude picked up something probably on the plane actually on the way back, because none of us got anything while we were there. So pour one out for JJ. I'll be pouring one of these out in my mouth in a little bit here, but pour one out for JJ for now. But also maybe pour one out for E3. Because though it's not official,
ain't looking good.
Ain't looking good. As of, let's see, I think it was Monday that I posted this, or maybe it was, I don't even know the dates anymore. Everything's all mixed up. Ubisoft announced Monday that they were backing out of E3. Sorry, guys, we are not going to make it. We're going to have.
We will, however, make it to our press conference like show that we're having that week
across the street.
It really is across the street. Yeah.
We will somehow also be in the same state and city that E3 is happening in, but we won't be a part of E3.
No news to share there, though.
Exactly. No news to share. No, so they're going to be hosting their own UB Forward in person, literally in the same plaza, essentially in the same plaza as E3. But what's interesting is they backed out on Monday, and then Tuesday we had Sega and Tencent backed out, and obviously
Devolver.
And Devolver's never been there, so it's nothing new for them.
They've always done their own little showcase only.
Yeah, but they've been like E3 adjacent, even though they're not.
They were across the street at E3 every year. It was great because you get down at the show floor and you're like, you know what? I'm hungry and thirsty.
Time to stop by Devolver.
I'm gonna stop by Devolver across the street and get a burger and a hot dog and a beer, if you're old enough, and for the hot dog, and then hang out, play some indie games, cool games, and then head back into the show floor. That ain't happening this year. I mean, Devolver hasn't been at E3 since like 2018, I think, actually. So it's not like it's a new thing for them, but it's still not good that even they are not showing up. Of course, again, this follows Nintendo not being there. We knew Microsoft wasn't necessarily going to be on the show floor because they haven't been. Sony wasn't going to be there, but when Nintendo pulled out, no pun intended, it was a bad, total pun intended. That was the first really bad sign. Since then, you're just getting this domino effect of folks leaving, not showing up to E3. Now, that news broke on Monday, the Ubisoft. The gall of E3 Tuesday morning replying to people, it's like, hey, don't worry, we're gonna have your creator tickets and all that stuff ready any minute now to go.
We're working on it.
Public tickets, we're working on it. But don't worry, guys. DoorDash Gaming is gonna be there, which they are. DoorDash Gaming, and they did not help us out at PAX East this year. Excedrin last year was the winner, but it's not looking good. I have talked to my sources, which are people who were planning around E3 that are a little pissed right now. And they're pissed. So the issue is there's several levels of this issue. Well, obviously the COVID stuff, you've heard of it, is still there. Working remote, dev team is getting up to speed, trying to understand what the expos are going to be like. PAX East last year showed that expos can happen. CES this year showed that expos can happen. PAX West was huge. PAX East was sold out. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and 4-day badges, we found out, sold out at PAX East, which is pretty awesome. Granted, they may have not had listed as many tickets as the past, but they still sold out. Now, ReedPop helps put on PAX, or puts on PAX East, PAX West.
Say they do a little bit more than just help.
They just do a little more help. And they were tasked to do E3. ReedPop can handle multiple, as they've shown, multiple, not only gaming expos, but massive expos. I think they do like just a majority of the expos that you know. I think they're doing C2, E2, and some other ones too. So they handle a lot of these things. And they know what they're doing. So E3 should have been a slam dunk. So I'm wondering if it's not ReedPop.
I think it's their fault.
You do think, or you don't think?
I don't. It's like I feel like it's the ESA still having their hands involved. Because I mean, like, ReedPop has proven that they've been able to do this. So it's like if it's failing, like there's only one other outlier there, and it's the ESA probably trying to, intrude and be like, how do we wring as much money out of these plebeians as we can, or whatever.
Booth space is super cheap this year too. It's kind of on par with PAX East. Like you could get an E3 booth for like $3,000, which is pretty amazing, especially for indie devs that are trying to get stuff going. It's really cheap. It's so yeah. I'm in agreement with you, and I think it's Sorry, go ahead, Taylor.
I was just gonna chime in that I think at the end of the day, ReedPop joined too late in the cycle in order to be able to bring in anything of real value of change to to sway the fate of this year's show. It would have had to happen with at minimum the full year's worth of worth of preparation time in order to make it work. You spend at least 6 months prepping the physical portion of it. You spend the other 6 months prepping the business side of it to get to make sure that everybody's on board. And so when you bring, when did they announce that ReedPop was in on it?
September.
You're crucial to as soon as E3 ends.
Yeah,
it is like you're literally in that phase of oh hey, we had a great time at E3. Let's talk about next year and get you on board. That's happening right then. It's not like the last 3 months is when if that hasn't already been secured, it's too late. So the 3 months that follows the conclusion of E3 are arguably some of the most important portions of time where you're solidifying the following year's entrance and participants in the show. So
CES, I'm getting emails for CES 2024 already right now. It's like, hey, thanks for coming to CES 2023. Get your name ready to apply to CES 2024. We're already looking for blah, 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 you know, so they're on it. When you get a company in so late like ReedPop, that it's an issue. And then ReedPop can't juggle whatever the ESA's demands are. ReedPop has to plan a show from scratch, try to figure out what's going on. Look at the economic environment. I do believe that E3 handles their own communications. Hey, Playland, how's it going? I believe that E3 handles their own social media communications and their communications to publishers, because ReedPop is not the main organizer. I mean, they're the biggest part of this thing, but it's still ESA, right? Whereas PAX East and PAX and all those other things, it's ReedPop. So, where's I going to track one? Yeah, no. So you're coming in late. You're trying to from a social media standpoint, PAX East communicated all the time with emails. The website was
it's a little bit. It's definitely a little bit tougher when your client for putting on the show is a lobbyist organization.
Yeah, for sure.
There are stakes at play which are not that of a. I mean, no offense to Game Tycho of a web comics company,
right?
That's at the end of the day, that's what PAX is.
So I was gonna say I've spoken to some PR folks and some folks at publishers who are planning things. This is where I was kind of going with this. They're pissed. They're not in love with Keeley's thing because they're not because that's kind of its own. We won't go into the love-hate relationship with Jeff stuff right now in the industry. But
point me in the direction of where the love portion is.
Yeah, but it's the only one that's really sort of set up. Jeff knows how to do his shit, and E3. Fortunately, he knows how to do his shit. E3 has been really bad. The ESA has been really bad in communicating with people, booth, floor space, that kind of stuff, notwithstanding. But and so folks are right now. There is no understanding amongst all the attendees of what's going on. And that communication likely comes from E3, the ESA, and not necessarily ReedPop, because the one publisher that I spoke to, and this is hot off the presses, one pub that I spoke to said that they had planned to be out at E3. And now that everybody's falling out, they had 2 big games to come and debut at the floor, up to 4, because they were sort of doing a little bit of a partner program with someone. So they have 4, let's say potentially 4 big games to showcase, brand new games, plus some of the stuff they have in the works. And this is like, it's 11:59 p.m. with 59 seconds before you need to decide. And at this point, it's a lot of money because you have 2 months. April is right here, and then you got May and June. You have 2 months to get booths developed, to get people visas if they have to fly over, travel visas, because there's still a lot of the health and security and visas, all that kind of stuff that needs to go in, to get rooms booked, and none of them know what's going on, so they're all upset. So yeah, this one dev, again, the one publisher said that they're looking now to just get an offsite somewhere. They're still going to be there. But they're going to just get an offsite, get a hotel room or a hotel convention, just a banquet hall space, and say, hey, show up in the lobby of this hotel and we'll show you some games. Because that's kind of where we're at right now. I personally, I think E3 just needs to scale down. They need the rumor was that I had heard from other sources was that they're going to announce this week if it's a go or no go. And so they're probably talking to the publishers and the people who have the vendors and the folks who have gotten booths, and giving them the heads up first before they make that full announcement to the public. But when you have everybody dropping out, I think that's kind of the sign right there. It's a bummer. But there's still going to be stuff happening there. From Thursday, you got Keeley's thing. Friday and Saturday are the play days, whatever those are those days for those things. Microsoft has Xbox on Sunday, and with hands-on stuff, I believe Sunday and Monday and maybe Tuesday, hands-on stuff, and then Ubisoft is Monday, and then I think Future Game Show is going to be that Monday as well, with their live stream. And there are actually, I've heard of, a very popular Japanese publisher that we all know that I'm not going to say who, but they're going to have a potential live stream. Exactly. So, yeah, it's so weird. Now, a lot of people will say you could do everything now with a live stream. You can do everything live stream. To the consumer, yes. To on the business side, it's been
a few weeks since we've had this exact conversation, so we should probably redo it.
We should redo it because we just had a quick in-person offsite thing at PAX East where we met some cool devs. We made some connections, and that was just getting beers, right? And those are the kinds of things, again, that you can't make online. You can't do beers online. You can't just like spin a Rolodex like, I'm going to talk to this Argentinian developer out of the blue for no reason. Those are the kind of things that you do find on show floors. You find them in lobbies and bars and stuff around E3. So the in-person stuff is important, and it's going to be really weird again to not have that. But that's how we have PAX. So we're going to find out this week, and we'll figure out what happens there. As you said, one of those companies that won't be at E3 that we know for sure is Nintendo.
Darn. They haven't been there for how long now?
They were there last month. Weren't they like the first out?
Nintendo? No, Xbox and Sony were the first out. We're the first.
Really?
Yeah, because they said they weren't going to be there. And Nintendo's like, yeah, we're not going to go either.
No, I think Taylor's just saying about like the whole thing, like overall, like
maybe. I don't know.
Because I'm pretty sure Nintendo's the first to be like, hey, we're doing our own thing. We'll just have show floor presence, but
no, Nintendo always had that show floor presence.
Yeah, but like press conference, they just
the press conference
went away. Yeah,
the press conference went away. Anyways,
probably what I'm thinking of.
Speaking of Nintendo, they showcased Zoldar.
Speaking of how messed up is it that Nintendo has combined with Pokemon the biggest booth of PAX East and does not have this as what they bring to the fucking show.
Doesn't have this or Pikmin or Kirby, which launched earlier.
Dude, it's straight up mean.
Or Advance Wars.
They had a photo op with Link, who was too big for the record. They did
have Mario and Luigi were there, and the Mario van.
They were also way too big.
Imagine they could have had a whole booth that was just all it did was exclusively show this 10-minute trailer, and it would have captured the entire show floor for the whole weekend.
So they could have, but that would have meant spending money to develop a booth. The Nintendo versus Arcade
would it have?
Yeah, because they probably, I don't know if they have anything for this game set up. The Nintendo versus Arcade was the.
Oh, I'm literally talking about playing this video, Dally. I'm not talking about playing the game.
Gotcha.
Literally, they could have. All they had to do was have even another booth that all it did was be like, you guys are the first ones to see this video.
Sure. Yep.
And imagine.
Anyway. Imagine that. No.
Nintendo would never do that because they're obsessed with control. They want to control the message.
That's why they wanted they wanted us to play Yoshi's Crafted World, the original Super Mario Brothers, and that's just really
and also I would assume that Nintendo might be kind of scared to let like people play this game just due to like the amount of like stuff you can do in it.
And stuff.
They don't want people to do something that isn't like PR like good. Like,
somebody's going to break the shit out of it. They're going to break the shit out of it the second they get in their hands. They've watched how people have fucked with Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild and it's been out for 6 years at this point, so they know what everybody's capable of, and they're like, no, nobody's touching this game before we release it. and nobody's going to
true.
touch this game until May.
I will say, just speaking of this game right now, and we're just going to just cover this super briefly because we haven't even really talked about it. They showed some of the new. They finally showed some of the gameplay mechanics that are going to be different in this game, which was fuse, which can take items that you have as well as like items you find and fuse them together,
cool.
put them into, which is really cool. You can make meat arrows, which we're going to find out, and then you have Ultra Hand, which is, by the way, cheeky to
lamest fucking name.
It's named after that from the 1960s Nintendo's Ultra Hand, which I think is a cool way to give homage to that the original Gunpei Yokoi product. The product that made Nintendo famous in the West was the Ultra Hand, well before the NES.
As many people that play Breath of the Wild, I'm sure will remember.
Exactly,
I had no clue, so thanks for the...
Yeah,
neither did I, and I'm significantly closer to the demographic that I should care.
So this that ability allows you to take big things outside and stick them together and adjust them. So like you'll see in a little bit here, you can take logs.
Wait, hold on, that boulder is small now.
Yeah, it shrinks it. Look at that. That's the power of magic in Hyrule. But they made a boulder sword, a boulder stick. Yeah, how big is he? And you can go through like ceilings and stuff, and you can float and do a bunch of other things, reverse time. But I cannot wait to see the videos of people making dicks with sticks, boulders, and they're gonna make the twig. Literally gonna make dicks on wheels with spikes on them just to fuck moblins, because you know that's gonna happen. You're gonna have a giant, just a murderous. This was kind of cool. They take the pitchfork and they make a super
This is the moment I knew the game was safe.
Yeah.
This is the moment where I was like, oh, okay, so they're allowing us to get goofy. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like that's where I was just sold. I was like, okay, they're just gonna.
It makes it when you saw exactly how long the pitchfork was.
Yes. And you're gonna be able to make that sucker really long. Like you can make that probably like 5 trees in length.
Yeah.
No, there you go. You make a meat arrow. No, I'm super excited, and I think with this game, Nintendo, with Breath of the Wild, Nintendo gave people a few things, and I don't think Nintendo realized what the public would do with those tools. In this game, though things look similar, I think graphically at best it's only moderately better. But I think what's really cool is Nintendo had
I see almost no improvements.
Yeah, I think Nintendo put a lot into setting up the world for the technology to say, all right, have fun with everything you're going to do, because we know you're going to go crazy. Hey, kids, you like Minecraft? You can Minecraft shit in this. There are going to be people making towers and forts and all kinds of stuff in this. Forts on wheels that are moving around and blowing things up. And I think that's actually really cool. And so it doesn't look like wholesale changes to the world. I mean, we haven't really seen the world map. There are obviously these islands, and I'm sure there's going to be underground. It's a big rumor based on the very first trailer. But Nintendo said, hey, we're going to allow people to have a lot of fun with the crafting process. But that also means we're not going to go haywire with the rest of the world, because too much shit can break if you start doing that. So I think it's really cool. I'm pretty excited for the possibilities of this. It's so discoverable now.
Here's what's going to happen. We're going to get another 10-minute trailer. And because the old powers from Breath of the Wild 1 aren't with Link anymore. They're with Zelda. She's the one who has the Sheikah Slate and stuff. We're going to get another trailer that shows off that aspect of it. Because there has to be an aspect with her. Because she, in the trailers, she's trapped underground, or she's under there at some point. She has a Sheikah Slate. There has to be something with that, because they're not gonna get rid of that whole mechanic from the first game with like the ice and the stasis and all of that.
And bombs, right? Even the bombs.
So like it's already in the game, and I know Nintendo's smart enough to not just throw that away, especially for a Zelda game. So I don't know. I'm pretty positive that we're going to get Zelda stuff. The But also, I wanted to say I was pretty impressed with how seamless it is, like the transition between the ground and the sky.
When he's
It's
jumping out of
pretty,
there, yeah, Fortnite style jump from the sky to the
yeah,
ground.
it's pretty cool how seamless that is, and that's what I feel like Nintendo had to focus on is figuring out how do we get no loading screens between these like huge zones.
Yeah,
so
there was definitely some
that's where all
technical
the budget
achievements
went.
that got handled.
What's kind of interesting is you can see the sun moving in this, which is kind of cool. The shadows are adjusting to the growing to the sun.
Yeah,
I'm pretty stoked. I mean, to me, this is going to be the top selling exclusive game of the year. I think hands down. I don't really know of any other. Any other. I don't really know
Last
of
of Us
any
Part
other.
1 PC.
There you go. Did you see the sales numbers for Last of Us Part 1? Like jumped like crazy. Obviously, we know why. But
yeah.
anyway, so Zelda coming out in May. They finally showed the OLED Zelda console and that badass looking Pro controller, which I ordered because that's graphic design standpoint, that Pro controller is beautiful. But yeah, Zelda coming out in May.
So
I don't want to watch too much stuff of it because.
Did you notice that there's like that tiny jank when he's putting the second motor on the wood where he's trying to avoid snapping it to the other motor.
Yep.
And so he's like offsetting it, and then he lets go, and it just kind of like goes. Bloop. But I'll say I don't know. I'm slightly afraid because there was definitely frame rate drops even in the video that they showed.
I believe
it. Yep.
I mean, I do. I don't want frame rate drops, man.
I played Breath of the Wild 1 before it got the frame rate boost patch, so like I don't know.
That's fair. I probably did too. I played it on Wii U, so.
Yeah. Did you really?
Yeah, I know. I didn't get a Switch until months later.
Wow. I'm still kicking myself for not buying the Wii U version of this game because it's going to be tons of money later. Yeah, I'm just.
I'm never reselling any of my shit. It's meaningless.
It's meaningless. No, I'm pretty stoked, and it's looking good. It's looking real good. All right, I'll stop this right now. Last but not least, Nintendo-ish news. Pour one out for the 3DS Monday at I think 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. Eastern time is when they shut off the eShop. So. Yeah, rest in peace. I made sure I loaded up on a couple of the games I didn't have. I realized I had a lot of them, so I'm not super worried.
No way.
Because they were on
Monday is officially, or maybe we can just say Tuesday morning. It's officially less of a gray area than it ever was before to strip
do
down
something nefarious.
Is it even nefarious if I literally can't buy anything for the systems anymore? I don't know. I don't think so.
As long as you're not in our Discords, finding secrets. No, it's pouring out for that. I grabbed Come On Monsters because that's one of my favorite things to do is to Come On Monsters. I'm sorry, Come On Dragons. It's Come On Dragons. And there's also Come On Warriors, but I grabbed the Come On Dragons. And Odo-san, I grabbed. I had like $7. And I grabbed the Ace Attorney trilogy.
I have to get that SMT Outer Space game for 3DS. Which one was that, Zach? Remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Strange Journey.
Strange Journey. Yes.
I have to acquire that.
Yes, you have to get your hands on that somehow. But loaded that up. So there you go.
How would you ever?
How would you ever? Let's get into games and games that we're playing and finish up the PAX East stuff. I'm before we do that, Zach, I'm a little envious of the graham crackers that you're munching on. So I have snack questing wise. Dots honey mustard.
Those are amazing. I love those, dude.
The honey mustard ones. The cinnamon ones are phenomenal. But Sam, have you tried these?
No.
Oh my god. Dots pretzels are the best, first and foremost. Just the original ones. I did the Southwest ones, which are strong. That's like the
honey mustard ones are so good, dude.
They're so good because they have just the perfect sweet and tangy. Combination.
Why was there a pause
Sweet.
when you said tangy?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet and tangy.
Sweet and tangy.
Because he wasn't sure what he was gonna say.
Yeah.
Got some
I'm gonna talk
stank
about.
on it.
Put the thing on. Let me talk about the. Actually, I'm gonna let Zach go first and talk maybe about some of the stuff that he saw at PAX East that we didn't cover during our other awesome show. What did you see, Zach?
Okay, Friday, I saw World of Horror, which is a game that's already out. It's in early access. Final 1.0 version is coming out in the summer. They're showing off like the console port of that game. I mean, to say negative things first, that game needs a better UI for the console version. It's pretty hard to navigate menus because they have you doing it with like a pointer controlled by your stick on the controller, and there's a lot of little buttons and menus in that game, and it's kind of annoying. But the cool thing is whenever I did my demo, my controller had Joy-Con drift.
Oh boy!
So, and the buttons were like switched up, and they weren't working. So like,
Switch?
I was playing on PlayStation 5 or a
it was a
PC.
PS5. It was a PS5 controller. So I was also there with Zach. Zach was the one driving though. It was a PS5 controller, but I'm pretty sure it was running on an emulated or not emulated build. But it was technically running off of PC, but it was running the console version. So there are weird driver things that could happen in those scenarios. But I do think it's weird that having that huge touch, like, they still have the touchscreen on the PS5 controllers, right? That front face.
You can use that,
touchpad, yeah.
To not use that as a pointer, like touchpad, is an odd choice in my opinion.
Yeah. So it was funny because my pointer kept moving while the guy was giving his.
Watching Zach, the guy is like, no, don't touch that one. You have to click on the other one, Zach. The pointer is just like just drifting up repeatedly. He's like, I swear I'm trying, and I see Zach just pressing the button over and over again. It's not doing anything.
Yeah, so that was fun. But yeah, it's a great game. It's definitely something to check out. I'm assuming the console port when it comes out will be better than my experience.
What kind of game is it, first and foremost?
It's a roguelike story kind of game, though.
It's a roguelike point and click
RPG card game thing. Well, like the cards are basically like scenarios and items and things that are dealt to you behind like the scenes of the game. It'll deal you like cards, and that's like your modifiers and things. And basically you get like you have set up campaigns that you can play, or you can just have the decks deal you cards, which is cool. So like what it does is it'll give you a mission like there's been a ritual summon at your school, and you need to kill like the scissor whatever lady there. So like a lot of that is random, and how you go about it is like you go through different rooms, and there's encounters that could be rolled or drawn or a bunch of things. So there's a lot of just like dice rolls and card draws behind closed doors that you don't get to see, and you just get to interact with the cool, UI and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's very, very much kind of like an adventure game, like an old school dungeon crawler adventure game kind of is kind of what it is.
It crosses a lot of different genre boundaries simultaneously, so it's really hard to kind of classify it. You have stats, like you can see there's strength, dex, and stuff like that, but there's also literally just battles that you have to kill this weird monster thing, And if you didn't go to the right spot and necessarily find the right weapon, it might be really hard. But the combat is also like unique, where it's if you don't have a weapon, you're like, okay, I'm gonna now go into now go into text adventure mode, where it's like, look around, find a weapon. Like, I don't know, there's this weird backdrop of point and click text adventure at all times, which is very, very neat.
Yeah, it's super unique and really fun. It's very crunchy, is I guess is a good way to put it.
I like
it. It's
like
look at this UI. Can you go back to like 10 seconds? Like, sorry, yeah, that moment. Let's see if we can pause it. I just kind of want to show like this UI right here. So this is the battle UI.
Yes. Love it.
And each one of those icons next to the character portrait is a potential action in combat. And you can see ZL, ZR. There's multiple tabs that all have that 3x3 grid of options. So there's a lot of different things that you can do at any given time in battle. You can see, like in this case, slot A, the person already has a bat equipped, and stuff like that. But it's just, I don't want to necessarily call it. I mean, do we say the word, Zach?
Esoteric.
It is.
Yeah, it's super. Yeah. So also, there's different characters that you can play as. Different decks or like stories you can unlock as you play. It's also custom stories on the PC version, where you can download like ones made by the people in the community. And yeah, it's just a fun time. It's made by one guy who is a part-time dentist, which is super cool. And he's also does all the art in MS Paint. So that's him.
And he's a Polish. Did we talk about him being a Polish dentist?
Yeah, he's a part-time Polish dentist. He's been working on this game for 4 or 5 years now. 4 years. Like, he's been working on it longer than that, but it's been out for 3 years, I think, or 4. I reviewed this game when it first came out, and I was in college, so I was still taking classes. So it's been at least 4 years. Yeah, that game is super cool. But the other game they're showing off is Demonschool. Demonschool is, it's really good. Their presentation on the show floor is super cool. They had a CRT TV with this game playing, and like school desk and like a fake teacher at the front. Like, yeah. But so whenever I sat down to play this, they gave me an option for battle mode or story mode. So my opinion of the story is light, because I don't know what it is, but the setting seems cool. You are going to a demon school. That's just what I assume. You go to classes, you have a school life, you have friends, you have relationships, that whole school like persona thing is very, very much prevalent. But what's interesting is, in battle, I was specifically told that you're stopping demons from crossing over into like the realm that we live in. So you want to make sure that they don't get past your characters beyond that. Like, there's like a line on the field. If they get past that, you lose. So there's some encounters where it's like, okay, we have to stop the demons, or okay, I'm fighting Yakuza. Like, there's gangs here I need to fight. So what is really cool is the game plays.
Style, by the way, this is so cool.
Yeah,
it's
very mixed media. They are very. I was talking to the marketing lady, and she was like, it's very intentional to be like mixed media, but also kind of grounded in like PlayStation 1 aesthetic. But yeah, so the way the battles play out, I want to get to a screen where there's the battle grid, so I can just better talk about it. So as that's going, let's see, keep going.
I'll pause it when we get to a battle here.
I saw all this stuff in the demo. Namako's
I
cool.
love how this movement is so cool.
Yeah. Okay. Pause right here. Yeah. Okay. So that's the finish line basically for the demons. They're heading towards you, and you're facing the other way. So it's kind of an auto battler in a sense, where you basically all you have to worry about is running your guys into the demons. So you run them into the demons, and then when they hit a demon, they'll do their attacks. So some characters have an attack where it's like they'll push, or some will have an attack that's just super, super strong. The Namako, the second girl from the left, she can place demons behind her. So if you move in front of them, she'll displace them behind her, and she'll like switch spots. And that comes in handy because if a demon moves into a space next to one of your characters, it'll initiate an attack. So when a thing moves into their zone, they attack. I think it might be just one character that can do that. I wasn't too sure, but yeah. Then the other guy, the African American guy, he is just a pure healer. He can't attack. So if he runs into a friend, he'll heal them and give them an attack buff. So all characters have different paths they can move. So like some can move diagonally, some can only move straight or to the sides. So placing them on the board and using all your resources, like on the bottom right, there's these circles, and those are like your pips that you can use to move. So like movement is 1 pip. If you want to move that character again, that's 2. So you just like kind of use all your resources, and throughout the game, you and the characters in your party become friends, become closer, and you unlock team combos and things. So you can like pinpoint, like pincer like an enemy and like activate a team combo and like do a bunch of stuff. So it behaves a lot like a typical strategy RPG in that aspect, like a Disgaea, where it's like if you're behind someone or next to someone, it'll activate a team attack when that one person attacks. So yeah, it's all about movement and running your guys into the other guys and stopping them from getting to the finish line. But at the top left, you see there is a 0 out of 12. You need to kill the 12 demons to finish it, but there's going to be times where there's more demons on the field, so you can stay around and keep killing them, or you can just move a character to the end your turn, and then the round's over and you win. You get credits, and the credits are used to pay for classes to level up your characters. So school is a way you level up your character and get different stats and all these different things.
Just like in real life.
Yeah, just like in real life. And there's like, I think she said 15 characters total in the game, which is a lot. And you can date and do relationship stuff and hang out and all that with all 15 characters besides the main. So the main character plus 15. So I guess, I don't know if that's 16 or if it's 14, whatever. But yeah, there's a whole slew of stuff you can do with friends. And yeah, it's really good. She said they wanted to, see, here's a little team combo.
The combo stuff is the most interesting part about how this worked out. And the neat part is that there are going to be combos. I mean, how many playable characters did they say there were?
I think she said 15 plus the main 4, so 19.
Yeah, it was like 15 or 18 total. And you know, we got to assume that most of them are going to have similar, if not slightly different, displacement powers that they have. And all that's like, it's just going to be repeated combo opportunities where you're just constantly displacing them, which ties back into the school aspect where you have friendship, relationship levels that are, and that will, I think that the word was that determines how strong those combos are.
Combos become, yeah.
So,
yeah, and then also whenever you plan an attack or plan like your round, you do it all at once and then you activate it and then everything happens at one time. So it's pretty easy to like, okay, I know that Delson's attack will punch this guy over here because it'll show you it moving on the board when you're moving your character to attack. And like, okay, then I know this character I'll put them here because they'll land here, and the enemy will be there because I moved Delson first, and like so it's pretty easy to like manage rounds. And she said they wanted to keep it simple to where a person who isn't really into strategy games could play it, but also to where there's a huge ceiling of like, how do I want to be like a nerd and like figure out this like round. But yeah, it really left a impression on me. I loved everything about it. The writing's really good. Characters are funny. There's a rich girl in there who can smell like poor people, and it's just a really funny dynamic there. But yeah, it's super neat. The combat is just
she can smell like poor people or smell.
She
poor
can
people?
smell poor.
Okay.
Yeah, she can be like,
I was saying.
yeah. So it's really cool. It's really good. And I want to play it now. It should come out.
Right now. Guess what?
Yeah.
It earned
I gave that my award. Yeah, it's so good. The combat is just like, it's really addicting and it's fast and it's just so fluid. But yeah, and also the world and the characters is just really interesting. So, and it's a looker too.
It's a looker. All right.
And then I guess I'll talk about Friend versus Friend because that's the last one I played that isn't one Taylor and I played.
Okay.
But Friend versus Friend is like a cartoony first-person shooter where you have a deck of cards, and that kind of denotes what special abilities and powers you have in a battle. So you build a deck of like 12 or 14 cards, and then when you go into like a 1v1, you draw 4 cards, and that's just kind of like your hand to play with. And it can be random. It could be like, okay, I get a weapon, or I get an ability to make me invisible, or an ability to make me a giant, or ability that says nuke the world.
Are they like preset? Do you know if they're like preset? Like you're always gonna get a weapon as a part of it? Or you don't know?
No. So I played a bunch of rounds because Taylor was talking to the marketing person here. Sure. And I was just getting in line, and I played like
talking to some buds at Raw Fury, and got lost in time.
I played like 8 or 9 rounds against different people, so I saw a bunch of different like hands. And there's sometimes where I wouldn't have a weapon, but because they start you with a pistol, and the pistol's good enough. It's not like a horrible gun, but you might get like I got one once where I turned into a giant, and that like triples your health, but it makes you move super slow. But I could obviously be seen by my opponent. But I also had a card that made me invisible, so I was invisible, and I was a giant, and I wasn't able to be revealed on the map until I shot. Actually. Yeah, so like I was. So I was just standing there in the corner watching my opponent trying to find me, but I wasn't going to be revealed until I shot my gun. So I was waiting for him to get up close to me, and then I just killed him. So that was fun. And then one time I drew a nuke, which would like just changes the entire map, changes the whole
giant right there, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, it changes the whole layout of the map. And I thought that was cool. And it like is like a whole like post-apocalyptic thing. And then my opponent had a nuke card too, and he played the nuke, and it like blew up, and we were on the moon, and it changed the gravity of the map, and we were just like jumping in like Super Mario Galaxy style between like 2 different small size planets. And yeah, and that was fun. It changed the way the bullets moved and everything. It was crazy. But yeah, it's super cool. It's fun. I think they could work a little bit on like hit detection, not from like from an animation standpoint. Like when a person is hit, there really isn't a lot of feedback to see that they're hit besides the numbers popping up. So it kind of makes it feel kind of stiff. But I mean, besides that, it's like super solid. It's going to be fun to see if you can like I'm assuming you can jump in online, play against random people, and then not just be like play against your friends type of thing. But yeah, it is interesting. It's super cool. So
Nice.
there's that.
Okay. Cool. All right. Who wants to go next? Taylor.
Yeah, I'll talk about the other game that Zach and I played, which was Blackout Protocol.
The game's cool.
And Blackout Protocol is neat. So this game is made by Ocean Drive Studio, which correct me if I'm wrong.
Got a coaster from there.
Yes, got a coaster. And so it is a 3-player top-down, or I guess semi-isometric roguelite twin-stick shooter.
Multiplayer.
Yeah, three-player roguelite. It is... Have a good night, Lisa. And it was sick.
Oh, wow.
What's the word I'm looking for? Friendly fire is on, not just by default, but as a part of the design philosophy of the video game.
That's the only way to play it, is to hurt your friends.
And I don't know, there's just something special about it not being an option that kind of like, it's not that it fascinates me, it's just that it's like, I don't know, it makes my heart happy, because it's like, A, it's bold, but B, I don't know, like it has intent beyond just being like, I mean, there's a certain level of difficulty that it requires because you can't just spray, but it means that there was care, and at least, and I think that I experienced it, in my opinion, when I was playing it. Yeah. There is care to how all of the things work in the game, that doesn't just make it like a difficulty slider of sorts.
Right. We talked about that with the devs. Like, I told them, it was like, if you commit to something, it allows you to build the game out and be more fleshed out around an idea, instead of it being like, okay, if you can turn this on or off, it like lessens how good the game could be and the options that you can add to it. And it kind of makes the designing of the game be kind of like not as like passionate as they could be, you know, if they have an option like, okay, well, here's this weapon with this big radiate, like this big blast or whatever, like, okay, well, we know people aren't going to use this in this mode, so we need to balance it to be whatever. Like, it just allows them to dedicate all their passion to like one vision, and it super like shows, because there's moments whenever I was playing, we played with one of the developers, it was like Taylor and I, and then another guy, the dev, and there's times where like we were moving in opposite directions, and like guys would come out to attack Taylor, and I would turn around and start like laying shots on them, but Taylor would be in the way shooting them, so like I couldn't shoot at those guys because I would shoot Taylor, or like, or there's a times where like guys would come at me and I had a grenade launcher, and I'd shoot it, and they'd be right up on me, and it would hurt me, and like I died because like I was just...
Zach picked up the rocket launcher or grenade launcher and died almost immediately.
Nice.
Because like they got right up to me, it was like it just blew. Yeah, so there's a lot of thinking that you need to do, but also you could play it with your friends and like not think, and just kind of like have fun playing random levels, you know, like
that's also cool. The characters that we're seeing.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so like one character, there is a character that has like an AoE heal by default.
There's the 4 of them right there. Okay.
Yeah, and you can see that that's the actives, is the differentiating factor there. They kind of laid out what was the inspirations? It was like SCP, X-Files,
oh wow,
a type of thing. So, you know, imagine government facility. Oh yeah, actually, wasn't that SCP right on the door on that? When the cars pulled up. So imagine stuff like
they're S2P.
S2P. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, we only saw our demo was limited to 15 minutes, so there was only so much that we got to see. So as far as longevity, I mean, you know, the game is in beta on April 16th. If my memory is
and
serving.
there's also a different mechanic that we forgot to mention, the like mental stability. I don't remember what they called it exactly.
So you have two kind of you've got two major health bars, your raw HP and then kind of like your psychic HP. And if we can get to like a gameplay, so yeah, all right. So over here you can see the blue bar, the purple bar is like your psychic HP, and certain enemies can do either type of damage. But if you are out of kind of that psychic barrier, any psychic damage is also physical damage. Which sounds like, okay, yeah, whatever. Except as we're playing the levels, there are these little, I don't know if we see them. We resume the trailer and let's see if we see them, and I'll tell you to stop it if we do. No, I'm not seeing them. There's like these little, I don't know, squid eyeballs. Yeah. That kind of looks like them at the top there. Yeah. And they're unkillable. They're just in the level. They're afraid of light, and you have a flashlight equipped by default. And they just kind of squirm around. That you can't kill them, and they just chip away at your purple HP, at your psychic HP. And I was literally, I almost died several times because I didn't train my flashlight on them, and we got swarmed, and we almost got taken down until the dev explained it to us. But I don't know.
Pretty neat.
It's all, yeah. So then you got these modifier cards, you got different guns, and different versions of the guns, and that's kind of like that's the roguelite aspect of it. So there's a lot of stuff obviously that we don't know because demo was limited, and there's only so much we could see. But Foundations felt like it was there to me.
Nice, very cool. And when is this due? Did you guys?
I believe it's due EA this year. With sometime after that beta. I don't think we have a full release hitting as part of the plan. I believe it's just going straight into EA.
Gotcha. Very cool, man.
Yeah, it was a good time.
All right, who wants to go next? Did you have anything else, Taylor, or was that
that's pretty much it?
Let's get to Sam then.
Yeah, I don't know which one you want to talk about first, since you're master of ceremonies over there.
All right, I'm gonna pick one, and you're gonna talk about it.
Sweet, Felicity's Door. All right, let me go to that tab where I have notes. Yes, Felicity's Door, a rhythm game, narratively driven. Basically, the story of what I believe is a brother and sister, and their shared dreams as they are laid to bed at night. It's a rhythm game, very involved. I played it on Switch. I think it's coming to both mobile and Switch right off the bat here. But as you can see, it has anywhere from easy mode to expert mode, which is also just insane. You can play it with buttons or touchscreen. How you would do the harder difficulties with buttons is beyond me, but certainly different variation levels for all skill levels. All the music, at least from what I played, seemed to all be either originals for that game or semi-modified tracks of a lullaby. I'm not sure if it was an original or if it was just, playing close to a theme, if that's a way to put it. But it seemed like all the music was written individually for the game, and there would be not so much as missions, but sort of sets of songs that you'd have to complete to progress the story in certain ways. And yeah, just seemed to be from the short time I played it on the show floor, I really only got to play about 4 or 5 songs. Played a couple of difficulty levels. There's certainly challenge there. A Switch on a table where about 6 other people are playing the same touchscreen game, it maybe isn't the best to try to
yeah.
chess the more advanced modes. But yeah, the animations and artwork looks very well done. I certainly didn't have any issues with the calibration of the game. And of course, it has a calibration menu in there, like any good standard rhythm game these days. So yeah, I think it's something to keep an eye on, especially if you're one of those people who likes experiencing rhythm games where it's more of like sightseeing's not the term. What's the musical term I'm looking for? Sight reading charts, where you're seeing like a song for the first time and playing through it, as opposed to maybe a pop song that you're familiar to, or like a song from a game or something that you're familiar to and playing a whole bunch. So kind of, again, didn't play enough songs to really find a banger that makes me want to make sure that the soundtrack will be available. But I really enjoyed the short demo. And they were one of the few demos right after where I was like, or where they encouraged me to immediately fill out a survey and was like, no, like the dev team wants to know everything, every opinion you have of it right now. Because they've got a lot of ideas working and they want to, not only for this game, but if they ever make like a sequel or something, where to go from there. So yeah, rhythm games coming to Switch soon. So be on the lookout for Felicity's Door.
Cool. Let's get your other game up here. What was the other game that you played?
Depends on which one we're talking about. Yes, Goodbye Volcano
Another
High.
rhythm game.
Yes, another story driven rhythm game. This one, though, more about teenagers. We've grown up a little bit. We have now decided to play in a band with dinosaurs in high school. I mean, that game doesn't, I guess, come out directly and say that they're dinosaurs. But read the room.
You can't fool me.
Yeah. But this one certainly more focused on the sort of inner dramas of a high school band that are both growing together and maybe growing apart. Hint, hint.
A band of dinosaurs.
A band of dinosaurs. No, so a bunch of high school kids in a band dealing with those type of issues. A group of them are in a band together, and they are, from the demo, experimenting with a new sound, and maybe that's not the direction the whole band wants to go. So you'll obviously meet a group of colorful characters. You'll learn about the relationships, their sort of senior year throughout Volcano High. There was a few chances during the demo to make some choices in dialogue. Only got to play through the demo once, so didn't get a chance to sort of see if those dialogue choices made any changes in the sort of situations that played out during the demo. It didn't appear to be, but then the questions didn't seem loaded enough to really affect people's reactions to maybe what you were saying. The only choice that was sort of a false choice to flash back. So we'll have to learn more once the game releases. But characters were very likable in the short little demo. And the art style, again, looks great. So if you're into that, more of a punk aesthetic, I guess, on this one than the sort of Felicity's Door children's sort of lullaby thing that I played through there. So yeah. Any questions? I don't know if you guys got a chance to check it out or not. They only had 2 stations at PAX, so it was one of those where it's like, yeah, it's a 15-minute wait per demo, but if you're 4 in line, you're basically waiting an hour to play it. So
that is the exact scenario that Zach and I ended up in. We walked up and there was 4 people ahead, and yeah.
I really want to play it, but it's like yeah.
No, it looks like you're this sort of fake Photoshop that's in there, right?
Yes, yeah. In the demo, there was a chance to kind of like it was like a notebook that was, you were sort of sketching out ideas of what your what your band Worm Drama's like album cover could look like or something like that. So
What's the band's name? Worm Drama?
Worm Drama, yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so it seems like there'll be a couple of those options. And of course we didn't there wasn't a way to or we didn't seem to go far enough to see that then reflected in game. So it's not sure if you know if this is like maybe a live poster, maybe you'll see that then in game, the one you've designed. So you know, not that you, not a lot you can see in a sort of narrative-driven thing on a show floor in 15 minutes, especially when you want to get a handful of people through to kind of get them excited for it.
Very cool. What else did you see?
Well, I also got a chance to check out No Longer Human, which is something you guys have mentioned to me that we've covered before. So I don't want to go too far into it. I guess it actually won one of our...
It's been a year since we talked about it, so go for it.
Go ahead.
Well, so I honestly don't know too much about it, other than the logo is so unreadable that while I was playing the demo, I heard 3 people walk up, go, "What is this supposed to be? No longer human, I think." And I don't know, it looks weird, and then walk away. So, yeah, it is the best way I've been describing it is like Devil May Cry, but sideways.
And good.
Yeah, and good. Sure. I'll be honest. While I was playing the demo, there was a lot of I don't know if I know exactly what's going on, but it sure looks cool, and the numbers going up, so I think I'm doing it well. Yeah, I believe the term because I have their PR that I wanted to read here was high energy cybergoth action fuck 'em up. With aggressive freeform combat, then incentivizes aggression and stylish gameplay. Yeah.
They mean the photosensitive wording, by the way. That's not a joke.
Do. Yikes. It's very fast action. It seemed like at times, and again, there were... If you go to a show floor and you see a demo, there's usually a human standing around said demo to guide you through it, or maybe like a piece of paper that's buttons. Absolutely none of that shit sitting there for this thing. It was just a controller and a pair of headphones and one of those pieces of cardboard that you can take that has the logo on it again. Again, no text of what the game is, just the logo. And you're supposed to go at it.
The UI is so useless. I love it.
No, it doesn't tell you anything. And at one point, it's like, hit this button to upgrade. And I was like, upgrade what? So like there's obviously attack combos and aerial combos that knock people in the air, and you can juggle and land back on the ground and stuff. But there were clearly also combos that were locking me into animations and not allowing me to move out of those animations until I attacked a certain direction. Didn't so much care what attack I was doing, just that it was going out this direction. So like there's definitely some depth to that. And, you know, I think any game where I have the mentality where if I feel like I can jump in that game and then do a kickflip, it feels good. And this game just feels like you're doing kickflips on people's faces with a with a giant scythe. So yeah, feels good, man. TM, I guess on this.
It's just such a wild aesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, this is 100% like if like flashing lights and like sort of like flickering that neons and old CRTs do to people. Like, absolutely do not play this game or look at this game. But it's got an aesthetic, and boy, howdy, does it stick to it.
So good.
Love it.
I love the logo, man. The logo is just so good.
Yeah, even in this trailer, occasionally the word vision something or other comes on the bottom of the screen. Like, no, at no point was that explained to me.
They're just
the only thing visible while you're fucking playing it is the giant combo counter and your current grade. I love it. Just giant fucking 33 hits, buddy. Of what? I don't know. But I'm going to keep doing it.
My partner's standing next to me as I'm playing, and it got up to like 87. And they were like, is that a lot? That seems like a lot. Does that mean you're doing well?
Yeah, this one for us, I think one of the games last year. So good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, still cool. Release it.
Release
Yeah.
it. Release it. PM Studios, I think that's the guy. Anything else?
I mean, I saw a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing really too much to write home about. This
Yeah.
was the year. Well, I think it happens every year. But this is a year that I think a lot of people had a lot of really good idea for multiplayer games that might not ever make it off of the show floor of PAX East after this event.
Yeah.
I salute you because thank you for putting forth the effort to get those games and to put them out there, especially on something like PAX East. But I think it also speaks to why these sort of in-person shows are both good for consumers and for press. Because something can like seem like a really good idea, and internally it seems like a lot of fun, and you and your friend group really are digging it. And then you get it to the show floor, and that concept makes zero sense.
And sometimes you just have to spend a few $1,000s to have a bunch of people tell you no.
Yeah.
Play testing it live.
Yeah. I would also like to say that generally in PAX East, this was another year where I felt like the show floor had a lot of indie games that seemed like a lot of copycats. Sometimes of even themselves. You know, it's weird juxtaposed against those like games that are really like, you know, something like No Longer Human that looks like nothing else that you're seeing on the show floor. So props again to eyeballs and games having aesthetics that stick out and that draw your attention. Because even something like, I mean, I don't think any of us got a chance to play it because they were swamped after day one. But the Capybara game, I forget exactly what it's called. But
I just remember that it's Vampire Survivors, but 4 players and capybaras.
Correct. And that's, you know, by word of mouth, that's all you know about that game. But seeing it on the show floor and seeing just how much it drew attention, and like, you know, hearing zombie survival, like, okay, so it's a game that I'm going to run around in a circle and blow up zombies the whole time. But that game is just so colorful and like creative.
You know, I should have. The name is so on the nose that it would not come to my mind. It's called Extremely Powerful Capybaras.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. And to give you a good idea of how much interest that game took off on the show floor after day one, it was one of those games where, you know, a handful of people played it here, you know, there throughout the day. And like the couch, they had like a 4-player co-op setup that was usually pretty booked for that first day. But if you wanted to, you could have slid in and played. I saw some open slots, but on the second day, I just happened to walk by like kind of right as we got on the show floor to see if it was available. And it was already crowded. And I heard them over talking to press, and they're like, yeah, we had a lot of appointments yesterday, but now the only thing we have open is like 5:10 this afternoon. Like, if you want to come this afternoon, we have time, and like maybe some time on Sunday, but that's all we got right now.
Yeah, JJ and I walked over to see if we can get a chance to play at like, I don't know, I think it was like right after we did our walkthrough with the awards. They're like, yeah, no, we're booked. Maybe if you're lucky, come by tomorrow. But even then, you gotta get here real early because that's one of those games, like you're saying, Sam, that they may not have been expecting how popular that was going to be, because that was one of the games that we didn't get a chance to play it. That was one of the games that sort of took over the floor. That and the giant wrestling ring. Took over the floor, man. I mean, everybody was word spread, and people were having a raucous good time with that.
Yeah, and that's even from on their perspective, that's not something you learn until you get to the show floor. Because if you're them, you're thinking, well, if it's going to be this big of a hit, we have 2 couches and we have at least 2 setups ready to go. But instead you have 2 machines playing No Longer Human, and people walk by because they have no idea what the hell's going on. also PM Studios, which is why I mentioned no longer right there, but
right next to each other. Okay. Well, I played a bunch of games. I'm gonna go through my other 4 that I played. I had a bunch of appointments on that Saturday.
Boo.
Boo, 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 this man. It's that part of the evening where I'm clearing my throat. Okay. First game that I want to get to is, and JJ was watching me play this one. Aliens Dark Descent. It's coming out in June. And first and foremost, this game is really freaking cool. I really, really did enjoy my time with it. Essentially, it's like a top-down tactical action game. It's not turn-based tactical. You're leading a squad of 4 of these colonial marines or whatever, space marines around the this derelict station, and you're trying to find out what caused all the just like any aliens movie, what caused all these scientists to die on the space station. At least the demo that they had was the space station.
I don't know.
Yeah, never heard
Might
this.
have been the Zebomorphs.
Zebos.
Zebos. So you walk around. Let me turn off the CC on there. You walk around the this building, like in that, or the spaceship in that sort of viewpoint right there. And the way the lighting is set up, the audio the same way. It's really all about tension, right? Tension and stress, and your characters can sort of start to develop stress if they're making too much noise, if the xenomorphs are starting to get too close, if something's going wrong. And as your stress level goes up, your the xenomorphs will get closer and closer to you. So it's kind of this endless Ouroboros of stress-inducing fear. And then you'll get like you'll get a rush of these xenomorphs. You better hope that you're set up to take them down with like sentries and that kind of stuff. You can kind of set up little sentries in the area. In the demo, they had us walking around, and you're just kind of clicking, pointing to spots that you want your team to go to. You click, you'll open up a box of loot, and which will include some sort of item. The UI was a little difficult to kind of understand at first, and it did take a little bit of time to kind of get through it and really start to make your way, because there's just menus after menus after menus, which is good and bad. It doesn't feel well on a show floor all the time, but when I'm at home, I know I'm going to be fully enthralled in something like that. But one of the cool things was as these aliens start showing up, as the xenomorphs start showing up, if you want to kind of give yourself some protection, you can actually weld the doors behind you. So I was getting chased by the xenomorph down a hallway, and I get all my squad into this little closet, and I weld the door shut. Just the sucker comes up to me. So he starts banging on the door, and we're just waiting in this tiny little closet area. And he finally gets bored with trying to get in and lets up and leaves. And I'm like, oh shit, that was actually a pretty cool little feature there. So that stress level was really high, and then it slowly came down as we realized that the xenomorph couldn't get in. There are other aspects. The mission in this one is to set up these turrets, these sort of sentry turrets, and escape. Or kind of you can, let's see, you're trying to find out what happened to the scientists, and then set up sentry turrets so you can kind of survive an oncoming onslaught of xenomorphs. So to do that, you find some bodies lying around. You scan the bodies. You pick up some like key cards and stuff, and you realize, oh, I can actually access the cameras. The cool thing about accessing cameras is that it just kind of shows you points of interest on a map. They're not really functioning cameras, and as you might think, but they give you points of interest, and they kind of tell you they adapt the map to show you where the xenomorphs are coming from and where there might be loot and side quests to kind of help you on your story. So it's a neat little advantage there. You kind of flip back to that camera system all the time. But yeah, it was really fun until I get to that final. You can see that scene there. I'm going to rewind real quickly. So you get to the point, and the xenomorphs are coming right there, and you can kind of see what direction they're aiming at you. But if you got your guys set up, like they're showing 5 guys here. I think we only had 4 in our area.
Burgers and fries.
Burgers and fries. 5 5 guys. But yeah, if you're set up well enough, you can survive, 2 or 3 xenomorphs. But at the end of the game, as you set up your sentries, like I'm just gonna point here. So here they are. So you set up one here, and this is actually a real similar thing. I actually had welded shut that the door on the other side of a similar closet here. But they want you to set up 3 sentry gunners around this lab, and then to extract data from a computer and try to ward off this oncoming onslaught of xenomorphs. Well, my dumbass didn't go to repair these sentries as these gunners, these turrets, as they're being taken down. So it would blow up a xenomorph. You'd have like 2 or 3 would come and attack it, and then the other xenomorphs, my squad would knock it down, and then it would just end up, crapping out. And what I should have been doing, knowing now, is going and sending a squad mate to repair them in between, mini rushes. So I ended up losing, and there's a scene of it. Me losing, of course. There's a scene of them, welding the door shut right there. I ended up losing, and I had everything. I was so happy. I'm like, oh, I knocked out a bunch of side quests in my half-hour demo, and the game has a decent pace. Doesn't move like super fast or anything, but you can get a bunch of stuff done in a half hour. I was all excited. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get this info from the computer. I'm just gonna back out to the door once the door is unlocked, and I'm gonna win this demo. Well, yeah, xenomorphs came after me, and the door finally opened, but by that time it was too late. They were just rushing me, and I lost. And but it was really cool, a ton of fun. And so fun that I'll just say it. It got one of our PAX Team Choice Awards.
I thought Taylor gave that one.
You would be wrong.
I'm not much of like a point and click, tactical type of player, but the game really did. I think the mixing in of the Aliens franchise, I think, really did a good job. And just like I said, that tension, that stress level was really cool, because in other tactical games like that, I'm just like, walk around, hunt, kill bad guys, go to the next room. But you're definitely playing a bit of cat and mouse with this, because you're trying to stay away from the xenomorphs in case there's a mad rush, and then you're sealing doors behind you, opening doors. It's just there's a really nice balance to the flow of the game. So yeah, it's coming out in June, and it was a ton of fun to play. The next game was there were no aliens in this game. But
well, then I don't want to hear about it.
I don't want to talk about it. But there were some cool kind of neat flashback type of things tonight. Okay, here we go. Yeah. I love playing Wolfenstein.
There's gotta be aliens in here.
Gotta be aliens. I love playing Wolfenstein 3D back in the day, and why is this so weird that it starts off with this thing? And I just love that real kind of classic style of 3D traversal, and then sort of that era, that mid 90s era of gaming, and yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it's Space Marines. Hopefully it actually shows some of the game here. Here we go. Warhammer 40,000 bolt gun, 40K, whatever you want to call it. It is I'll just do it right from here. It is just a real kind of, it's a boomer shooter with awesome retro style, hand painted pixel 3D graphics. Essentially, you're a Marine or whatever they are in this game, and you get this you get the bolt gun, which is this kind of cool weapon. It has like a little bit of a chainsaw-ish feel to it in a way, but get this weapon.
That's their main gun.
Their main gun, and you're just making your way through. It was like this sort of. It almost looked like a Nazi-ish outpost in the mountains in this demo. Yeah, no way. But the bolt gun makes things go boom and from a distance, and it's really kind of cool to obliterate enemies, because it's just kind of a fun thing. But you get a couple powers in this. One is that you can use the bolt gun to kind of run forward and blast forward and kind of charge into an enemy, which I thought was really cool. And it had a great nostalgic feel to it. It had also a very, very generous hit detection for some of these areas. Let me go to the higher quality there.
Perfect for pro gamer Dally.
For pro gamer Dally, I'm trying to say this without making myself sound stupid, but it's going to happen.
Too late.
Just say it, man.
Just say it.
Just say it.
You get the bolt gun, you turn around, and it says you have to click this button here, and it opens that far door, and you got to charge. It says the little notification comes up. It says use the charge or whatever it's called, and blast to this door. All right, cool. Hit the button, turn around. I use that charge, and then the door always closes. Like, okay, I'm gonna try. Use that charge, and I stop like 10 feet before the door closes. I'm like, shit. So I did this. I kid you not, over and over again for like 5 minutes. I'm looking like a complete idiot and looking for a developer. They're nowhere. The guy's like helping some other people.
Mommy.
Nobody's near me. Finally, he comes over, and I'm like, hey, this is telling me to use the charge, but the door keeps closing. And he's like, try running to that door. I'm like, you mean shift? He's like, yeah, just use shift. I'm like, all right. So I use shift, and he's standing like right over my shoulder. I use shift, and I get to the door, no problem. And I'm like, okay, I'm an idiot, but I'm not an idiot. I kind of turned to him. I'm like, yeah, I could have run, but it wanted me to use the charge. He's like, you don't have to use the charge. I just felt like a complete jerk. It told me to use the charge, man. But
did I tell you about how poorly my playtest of Pacific Drive went?
You tell me after I get done with this. Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, just classic WASD controls with mouse and keyboard, and use shift to run and spacebar to jump. It's just such a badass game. I really freaking enjoyed the demo.
It looks like a really neatly realized demake.
It is. Yeah, you're exactly. It's like this is how you demake.
They demade a game that doesn't exist, which is neat.
Doesn't exist. It's so cool, and it just plays real. I love this little bolt gun. It's on a. This is
what happens when the company that owns Warhammer, I forget their name, they just it's like an open license. They kind of just allow anybody to do whatever they want. So there's just so many of these like random poopy games for the Warhammer universe.
And this one's really good. I'm as a boomer shooter, I'm gonna be playing this sucker a lot.
Who does own Warhammer?
I think it's Games Factory.
Is it Games Workshop?
Games Workshop. Yeah,
there you go. Games Factory, totally different company.
What a fascinating, like they've done everything from MMOs to obviously Space Marines and first person shooter. I don't know. It's just a fascinating history and congregation and
like 100 books and
it's insane.
But the game moves really smoothly. It's 60 FPS, and it flows like butter, man. When it comes out, I think it's sometime this year. Probably another game that's coming out in June. I don't know. Definitely recommend getting your hands on it because it's surprisingly a blast. And I don't care a lick about Warhammer, but I definitely like this game, and so maybe I'll start getting into Warhammer if they have more crap like this.
Oh boy!
Really cool. Anyways, good stuff. Definitely worth checking out. I played one more game in their booth there that completely different style of game altogether, and this was Void Crew. Void Crew is essentially a submarine in space. What I mean by that is
that's just a ship, Dally.
It's the ship, exactly.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
But it's you run the ship like a submarine. Everybody has specific things they have to do. It's co-op. So you'll have people that have to man the guns. There's a pilot you have to choose. Folks that have to
FTL
runners. Yeah, it is very much FTL. And
I was gonna say, how many more times do you just want me to say that's exactly how a ship works, like a spaceship?
So, there's fuel in this that you have to worry about. It's 3D FTL. Yeah, there you go. No, it's the whole purpose of this. There's like the gameplay loop is essentially you your characters get cloned, right? They're sort of reliving or characters that just keep. It's a roguelite aspect. It's like they're constantly cloned, and you're going on these runs where you have to manage a ship, make sure it's all powered up, make sure you got all the items and stuff and everything kind of laid out. You got then you go do some exploring, find some loot. And then after you get that loot, like we were on this sort of, I hate saying derelict, but we were on this sort of asteroid. I'm going to go back to that point because it's very similar to that. So we're floating in space and we get to this little area here, which is sort of this platform. We have to.
Does somebody actually have to like fly the ship to this spot?
Yes. Somebody has to fly the ship to that spot. And you can do a bunch of stuff as the pilot. When you get attacked, you have to angle the ship in a certain way so that your gunners can actually take on all the little enemies that come at you. But yeah, so we exit the vehicle, the spaceship, the space submarine, and we go to this little platform, and we're kind of getting the loot, and we get everything back to the submarine ship, and we're notified, hey, there's some guys in the area, space pirates or whatever they are, and they're coming at you, so you better prepare. So we powered up our shields. You could put
and
shields.
Were you playing with 3 other people?
3 other people, yeah. One of the dudes he'd already played it and wanted to come back like several times. Like, I'm so in love with this game. I want to come back and try one of the different roles. And anybody can be any role at any time. You have to constantly communicate. So we're yelling at each other because all 4 of us are kind of sitting in line there, and we're talking to the headsets. Like, okay, this time I'm going to be the pilot on this little loot grabbing thing. Why doesn't somebody else repair the shields while I'm piloting us to the next stop? Okay, that sounds good. I want to repair this, blah, blah, blah. So the crafting sequence, once you get loot, you get back in there, and you can craft weapons, you can craft shields, you can craft different types of items that are essentially ship augments. And once that's ready, once you start getting attacked, then, like I said, the pilot has to sort of just maneuver the ship and make sure like engines don't overheat, the shields don't break down. Meanwhile, the other folks are gunners. And in the demo, there's a sort of big floating crystal, kind of like that. I'll pause it right here. So let's say there's a big floating crystal, and that's got these, similar to this, it's got these sort of anchor ships off the side, these 2 anchor ships that are charging up the shield around this crystal. So you have to knock out the 2 anchor ships, which means you want to have gunners on either side of your ship, and then you kind of rotate. The pilot rotates the ship, and the two of the gunners, or all 3 gunners, will point at these anchors, knock them out, and then all of a sudden the crystal thing in the middle is ready to be taken down. Well, once you take down enough of that crystal, you start getting attacked by flyover more ships will kind of pop out of nowhere and start taking you down. And so you have to take those out. But that also predicates managing your ammunitions, because one of the weapons is a light weapon, and it just needs a little bit of a cooldown time. So if you shoot enough, you kind of got to wait, a couple seconds for it to start powering back up. The other weapons, like the bigger guns, the rail guns, might need special ammo. So while I was kind of handling the cooldown weapons and taking some ships out, my partner to my left with the next gun over, the rail gun, had to keep going back and getting ammunition and cloning and making crafting ammunition and bullets and stuff and putting into his thing. So there's definitely this balance that you have to work on. And then the third guy realized, the pilot, as he's kind of maneuvering, realized, oh crap, our rear shield is almost broken down, which means we're going to get kind of screwed from that aspect. So he's like, I'm going to keep flying us and try to keep us away from these attacks. I need one of the gunners to go over. So the third guy like puts on his gun, goes in the back, starts repairing the shield. It was kind of a cool mechanic to juggle all this stuff together. It's an interesting thing. I don't know if I'm going to be, madly in love with playing this over and over again. It's really going to depend on how unique each play session is, because yeah, this demo was fun, but if it's that same demo over and over again, like the same loop over and over again, I think it could kind of wear you down a bit. So I'm curious to know what's going to happen beyond this little half-hour demo that we played? Like, are there places where you can explore more on foot? Is there, obviously you can get a bunch of different types of ships, but is the fun of this game tied to just the same loop, or can you start to kind of break it a little bit? Can you go exploring? Is there some No Man's Sky aspects, or what are the actual hooks to this kind of game? The developers did tell me they started developing this because they couldn't get to play games with each other all the time, and they wanted to play a game cooperatively online. And so the two developers, I guess two of the brothers that were working on this game, they said, let's just kind of make something that's a little bit more cooperative instead of always playing shooters. And they liked FTL, they liked some of the other stuff that was kind of popping off the time. They said, let's make something where we're sort of managing a submarine, hardcore focus on the management aspect as opposed to just dogfights. So pretty cool. I'm again curious to see what the hook's going to be beyond this little loop, but it was a fun 30 minutes. But another game that I did not get 30 minutes with, but I would have actually loved to get 30 minutes with, is a game also at the Raw Fury booth that I just kind of happened on, and that was Pizza Possum. And Pizza Possum, you are a possum vacuum. There's my little dude right there. All right, and he just runs around, and his whole goal is to just eat as much food as possible. See, I'm pointing to all the different food. There's bread, there's tomatoes, there's pizzas, there's all kinds of stuff. He comes out of his little hole there, his possum hole, and he's getting all the food. Eat as much as you can, and then there'll be like a key, and that the key helps open the door. And the point is to stay away from the cops. Get away from the cop dogs. I think it's a perfect play.
They are narcs.
They are narcs, exactly. And so you'll kind of get around, and then the cop dog will see you. And there's definitely a fun Italian feel to this. The cop dog will see you. And
classic Italian feel.
Classic Italian.
Oh my god. Well, hey guys, SideQuesting's had such a good run. What was it?
I bring it up because it's set like it's set like on an Italian town, countryside. So I say it's an Italian feel in terms of like it's a touristy European. Again, I believe it's like Sicilian premises. That's what it really feels like. It's
Sicilian premises.
All right. Anyways, I'll continue on the gameplay mechanics. So yeah, there's all these other little animal denizens in this town. You're just constantly vacuuming up the food, which is a blast. You can scare off some of these guys, and you can kind of try to deter them from capturing you by you can also hide in bushes, kind of cool. And all these, like there's one point where I had a very similar thing where all these puppies were chasing after me, and I had I found a box puppies? They're Italian. Maybe it's Italy. These are Fiats. I found like a bag of dog bones, and so I'm like chucking these dog bones as I'm running around, and the dogs will like run off the side and start chewing on this bone for a split second, just enough for me to get around. And
the dog fuzz.
Stereotypical.
All dogs are cops.
All dogs are cops. All cops are Bow Wow. But no, it's just a silly, fun little, stupid little game that the demo ended. Yeah, there was a. You'll see the little dog bone in a second here. Bear right here, chucking the dog bone there. Demo ends way too early once you kind of complete this little
must have been the
little town level, and I loved it. This is going to be the kind of game where you see a video and cozy computer. It's a cozy style action.
This gives me vibes of like. I mean, listen. Obviously, Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah.
But also like it's like that same vein of Untitled Goose Game, Donut County. Like it's I don't know, like all of those things are. I mean, obviously it's animals that we control in all of those games, so maybe that's what it is. I don't know. That they all. I'm not saying that this is like that game or going to be like either of those games. I don't know. There's just something that draws me to it the same way that one did.
Cozy charm. It's a cozy charm. That's
no. These games are made to be streamed and to make.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it's gonna be very streamed. you're gonna see the second round.
Yeah, you're just like, it's it's a game that's literally meant to be like, it's me, I'm him, I am the possum. And it's just meant for people to like regurgitate that point ad nauseum. But also, it does look fun. So
it is actually, it was a blast. It's a super simple premises. So they had 2 screens set up, and I'm kind of waiting.
Yeah, I think they announced it at PAX.
They announced it like the day of the first day of PAX. And there wasn't I waited in line. Me. I waited in line.
Exactly.
Yeah, and the line was like maybe 2 or 3 people, and so I right behind me was I got my seat, and then the person next to me was I want to say they were like 3 years old or 4 years old. It was a dad and his 2 kids, and he had the daughter wanted to play. He's like, all right, honey, I'll let you play. It's that easy to control this game, and it's really funny, and I think kids are really gonna like it the same way that Untitled Goose Game, like you were mentioning, Taylor, sort of hit that the right nerve with fans. I think this is gonna be the same kind of thing where it's really just a game of keep away and hide and seek, which I think it's tag. It's everybody can understand this. Just stay away from the other folks who are trying to capture you, and it's not like you die, you just get caught, and you gotta get out of your possum
but
hole.
also he's literally me.
He's literally me.
Literally me.
Anyways,
he is literally the only living marsupial in North America, just like me.
I'm looking forward to this guy. I think it's gonna be one of those fun games that
Me too.
All in the right spot. That's it. I had other stuff. I checked out the Audio Technica booth and tried on their new headsets. Really,
was it the most comfortable headset you've ever worn?
No, but it is. It was super
Did you
light.
pull out your testing and you could test the audio waves to make sure they are balanced?
Totally, and nothing. It's easy to do on a show floor, but no. So I have a bunch of audio equipment at home. Obviously, my DJ gigs and stuff, and so I have a bunch of Audio Technica equipment at home. And so knowing from that, that's why I was kind of interested. There you go. I was kind of interested in trying these out. I thought, I want to see how these function. And they were showing off regular headsets, kind of their newer-ish headsets, but then the one with the mics, I think, were the full feature ones I thought that were really cool. Really comfortable because they're so light. Like this PlayStation headset right now is heavy by comparison to that this kind of cool sort of deconstructed one that they had sitting there, which is they just had a real minimal. I mean, there's no real style to it, but this sort of post-industrial deconstructed, everything is exposed. The fans are exposed. Everything's kind of sort of exposed. I thought that was a really cool visual style, and it's super light. Like their whole purpose was they got rid of plastic on like half these things, made them really lightweight, focused on the comfort from that standpoint and the audio quality, both from what you're hearing and then how you're speaking, because I think that was important. And that mic was so freaking clear because me and the gentleman that was showing me the stuff were talking to each other, and it was better with the microphone than it was us standing next to each other. Like it was clearer than the 18 inches that we were apart from each other, and that was really cool. And when you have a good
mic was it? Do you remember?
It was I took a photograph of it. It wasn't the mic. So the headset. I didn't get a chance to use the actual mics there, but
okay. It was the headset mic.
It was the headset mic. The gotcha. GDL3. God, I don't have the picture loaded up here, but hold on a second. It is the ATH GDL3 is the name of the one headset, and that was like $109 on sale. $109 headset, $130 headset. But no, it was really cool. They have sort of higher end ones as well.
They certainly do.
They said the $200 headset I was looking at. Tried that sucker on. That was pretty amazing as well. But for $130, I've never really been a headset guy for gaming and for PCs and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, we've had a couple to review in the past, but this really felt like, okay, these aren't gamers. This isn't a gaming company that's trying to do audio. This is an audio company that works with sound producers, works with DJs, works with broadcasts like Sam, those types of people. Sam, you should try the sucker on. That they know what they're looking at from that standpoint. So they're taking their know-how and saying, okay, how can we interact now with the gaming market? So it was really cool. Yeah. I'm pretty stoked. So I'm gonna see if I can get us some review units because I want to try them here at home.
It makes a lot of sense for AT for Audio Technica to show up at places like PAX because of how numerous, not just influencers, Twitch streamers, and podcasters have become, but also because of how many younger people that are going to be at that show that likely either aspire to be or want to do it in some variety.
Sure.
Like, I mean, I've been using my AT 2020 for
same here. You and I got the same one, baby,
for almost 11 years.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I mean, I got this in 2011 or 2012. I forget the exact year, but
it's still great.
It's still working. You're hearing me on it.
Yep. It's Audio Technica makes great equipment. I couldn't be happier with what
Sennheiser game.
Sennheiser.
Yeah, what's your mic?
Blue Snowball game.
Yeah, exactly. Blue Snowball.
Blue Snowball. But that was my PAX. I mean, there were other things floating around, but whatever. And
you like my microphone?
It works.
I mean, it's sick.
Yeah, the Death Star.
Spoiler alert, as the only registered broadcaster here, I am also using a Blue Yeti Snowball microphone.
Yeah, you sound like it
wonder
as well.
you both sound like shit.
You both sound like crap. Good job. But no, it's just overall PAX was a thumbs up for me, and it was I enjoyed. I think we were kind of joking around a little bit. It's like it almost felt like there was less on the show floor, but there wasn't. It's because Nintendo and Pokemon, and there were some other big booths there that took up a lot of space that we didn't have last year.
Yeah, like the Steam Bun guys.
Yeah, no, those guys were there last year. But no, they I think PAX understands. Like last year was them sort of trying to figure out what PAX is going to be. And this year was them going all in with like, hey, crap, let's put food trucks on the show floor. Great idea. Let's get more indies and really kind of organize how those are set up. Let's make sure that the sort of the shopping stuff is sort of around the shopping and the school stuff is around the perimeter. Because in the past you would have somebody selling beanies next to an art school, next to a crappy indie game and next to like a phenomenal indie game, and next to Wormwood. And so it was, I think, better laid out this year from that standpoint.
I love that the Indie Mega Booth is still there, even though there's absolutely no signage saying Indie Mega Booth.
Well, it's not technically Indie Mega Booth.
Yeah, because Indie Mega Booth, it did become its own company.
Yeah.
And so, what are you thinking of, Sam? Are you thinking of like?
Oh, I was just saying, instead of two hallways that were just back-to-back indie games with red curtains, it was just two hallways of back-to-back indie games with black curtains.
Black curtains, baby. Yeah, that's the ones that were off the side there. Yep.
That's true.
Yeah,
we call that pipe and drape in the industry.
I miss the old days of like the transformation of unofficial Indie Mega Booth signage into it growing into a company, and then all of a sudden it was a big thing. That was a really cool part of the transformative experience of indie games in general.
In fact, they got so big. It got so big with Indie Mega Booth that they decided to create Indie Mini Booth.
That's true.
Which was sort of a spinoff, which was like, okay, Indie Mega Booth became sort of the thing for indies who had a little bit more cash to get nicer booths. But Indie Mini Booth was like, hey, here's just like if you got like $5 to print out or you got a stack of business cards, this is for you. This TV on a stand.
4 indie developers rented 2 tables and have 4 Steam Decks running their games because that happened at this PAX East.
Yes, yes, sir. That was the way to do it too. Yep. Yeah, but no, I thoroughly enjoyed PAX this year.
Hey, real winner of PAX East. How about the Steam Deck? Really, standing out as now the perfect device to take to a show floor to just slam that sucker behind a box with the cheapest lock possible and plug it into a questionable 16:9 1080p monitor.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of games that showcase at PAX East that won really well on Steam Deck hardware.
Yeah, already.
I saw her last year when Taylor had his Steam Deck with him, and the Curse to Golf guys was.
I was piggybacking off of Dally's, specific appointment, and I just downloaded the demo on the show floor and played the demo alongside Dally. I mean, it's I don't know. Yeah, it's very cool.
That was one of the questions that I asked almost every single dev was, how does this run on Steam Deck? And that was this.
Actually, that was one of the coolest things I didn't mention. When Zach and I saw Blackout Protocol, they were like, "Yeah, we're also trying to make sure it runs on Steam Deck," and I was like, "It's a South Korea dev," and I was like, I was like, okay, I was like, that's sick, and I was like, I literally was in my backpack. I was like, that's fine by me.
Yeah, no, I think
Demonschool runs on it, and so does World of Horror. So
excellent. And who was it that you guys mentioned that they didn't quite they weren't kind of planning on it running, but it runs fine? Or was that that was the company that we met, the dudes that we met at that meetup? They were like, hey, does it work on Steam Deck? They're like, I mean, it's not verified, but it runs perfectly. We're like, all right, cool.
Risa Pacha or Pacha.
Pacha, yeah. But PAX East is great. Already looking forward to next year. Apparently, it's going to fall on, from the rumors are, it's falling on the same time frame, same weekend next year, so the 21st through the 24th. And then in 2024, it's apparently in May.
What?
Yeah, it's going to be in.
Is that a rumor?
That's what's sort of booked, because I guess they ended up extending it to 2028. So they have. That's the rumored timing, but in May, which is wild. I'm like, you're gonna have jorts, man. It's gonna be great,
dude. I would love for it to be in May.
Hey, happy 50th PAX!
Happy 50th PAX. That was a good time. Yeah, no, but we'll know
for the record books
better for next year. But no, it was a good time. Everybody had a good time, and we'll do our PAX GPT party, whatever we're gonna call it next year, because we set some records.
You're on the short list now.
We're on the short list for our annual parties. But no, good time. And definitely look forward to doing this all over again. With that said, I have a quick bit of show and tell before we sign off. I didn't get to show up before I went to PAX East, but you guys know this. You guys know this thing, right? This is the Switch, right?
Is that the Nintendo Switch?
It is the Nintendo Switch. All right, this is what it looks like, right? Without the case, without the controllers, the Joy-Cons. Well,
ew, yucky.
I know, it just looks like this. I bought some computer or something, and I got this thing, right?
Oh,
check this, the Nixie, which you could pop these off into it. It's actually really weird.
It was an N64 controller.
No. I have that too. But, you pop these things off, which is kind of wild. That pop them off, and you have this kind of weird little chunk in the middle. Stick them on the Switch.
So glad we demoed this before doing it live.
Yeah, but they use look at the size of this sucker. But they use the special type of, what do they call those? The sticks, the not like the current Joy-Cons. These are the magnetic ones that are I forget the name of them.
It's hollow sensor.
Something, I forget what it is. But they will never drift, which is really nice. And that's the reason I got it, and it feels really good. But it totally has that has the GameCube button layout. It actually feels really nice from that standpoint, but it's just fucking massive. It just makes the Switch an Aaron Kelly size device, which is just really funny. But no, they did a good job of designing this thing. I've been using it to play catch up on my monthly game completionism, and it seems to be working really well.
Octopath Traveler 2, have you cracked that one open
haven't yet. I'm still playing games from like the 7 years ago, but no, it's a cool device. And if you get a chance, if you are a Switch owner and you want something that's better than the Joy-Cons, this has an actual D-pad. Check that sucker out. And the non-driftable.
Okay, calling that an actual D-pad is not.
Okay,
generous.
It's not a real. It's not
generous.
A true,
Suspicious.
Yes, correct. But no, it feels really well, and it's gonna. It actually turns the Switch into something that's a little bit more usable long term from when you're sitting on the couch. But now the Switch is the size of the Steam Deck, which is also wild. It's as thick as well. But anyways, the Nixie Wizard. Here's the box. The Nixie Wizard. There it is. Nixie Wizard. That's it. That's all I got. Just a little bit of show and tell. I know JJ wanted to get one of these suckers too, but he did not. So sucks to be him. He has died. He's posting crap in our Discord.
I saw that.
Good job, JJ. Usually Zach's the one that does it. I can't make it, guys. I fell asleep. Zach, you were posting memes nonstop. I was sleeping. No, I'm just kidding. With that said,
he can't stop himself.
Posted my sleep.
Find us at sidequesting.com, sidequesting TV, and on YouTube and Twitch, at sidequesting on Twitter, as long as Twitter lasts. We'll be at PAX East, but we'll also be at E3, maybe, whatever E3 is. We'll figure that out in the next few days. You can find us individually at Dolly Demovsky, at ZachQuest, at Taylor Bliss. Sam is up there as well.
Find us in the Discord. I'm there.
Find us in
my Discord.
Sam lurks in his own
Discord.
That's me. That possum is me in the Discord. But yeah.
Oh my God, he's literally
because that is where we go most of the time. You're going to find us there with good stuff. That being said, we'll see you in the next episode of The Side Quest.